Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy with the JC again, once again. JC, how we doing, man? How we doing?
We're coming off a fresh loss, so
Oh,
we're not doing fantastic, but we're here.
I should probably hit the screen share for you just in case. But, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously your season didn't end the way you wanted it to. You went out a little bit earlier than you wanted, but we're here with the award show, of course. Me and JC probably gonna be doing it every season. Just tradition, man. Just tradition.
Yep.
All right, you ready to get
100%,
on?
100%.
Want to say anything or just get right on into
Let
it?
me start with, I did lose, but I think I went out in the best fashion I could. Game 5, had him on his toes. It was the best way I could go out.
Only game 5 in playoffs so far, so if you were to go out, yeah, that would definitely be the best way.
I did. Nobody's 3-0 in me, man.
That's facts. That's facts. All right,
Alright.
let's get on into it. All right, first category we have best nickname. Now, this is a you have something like Samsung Smart Fridge that is just so iconic. We have some of the other ones that are pretty cool. Personally, I'm a big fan of Johnny Adams, but do you think there's anything that can test with Samsung Smart Fridge, or do you think it's just a clean sweep?
So, in all honesty, I think the nickname has to go with the Pokemon and the Agent Bolt, obviously, for inside joke value and shit like that is funny. But John Adams just loses me. I guess it's like the randomness of it that's really good. I mean, Quilliam and Samsung Smart Fridge are it, bro, because Quilliam's hilarious.
What about Silly Simon? I think Silly Simon's a good one.
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Oh.
Silly Simon. Come on, man. Look at that thing. But I think, in all honesty, I mean, you gotta go with Samsung Smart Fridge, bro. I mean, that's a ridiculous nickname.
All right, so yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the only one who knows who won these categories. JC doesn't, so Samsung Smart Fridge. Noah, went in week 1, came out the banger, and held out the entire season for best nickname. That's impressive. We had I think we had a lot of good nicknames this season, but God, he came out with a banger week 1 with this.
It was such a random mega pick too, bro. Like, that pick was so random.
Yeah, because
Oh, man,
we
I love
moved it up from tier 4, and I told Tanner, like, this thing is not getting drafted, and then Noah drafted. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Alright,
Oh,
not going to
man.
spend too much time on the nickname one. So now, we're in a low tier, high value
Oof.
now. We got a lot of mons here on the screen, 2 of which probably shouldn't have been tier 4. But, at the time, we just, we made these tierings like a week or a couple days after Gen 9 dropped. So, probably not the greatest idea. But anyway, you got your boy Appleton up there. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, dude, he's a prepping value, bro. Because most of the time I was faking people out and I was running Ripen just so I didn't have to click and recover to take a move. And then the Apple Acid, you can't set up in front of it because it's just going to keep dropping your special defense. So I do love Appleton as just like a pivot Pokemon. I do agree that I think the only ones that should be on this list right now are Miltank and Appleton.
You don't think Bellieball should be tier 4 or below?
No.
You
do
think
not.
it should be
That
tier
mon is
3?
ridiculous. That mon is ridiculous. Not only is it have capability to take out its counters, but both of the water moves it gets either lowers attack or it lowers accuracy, which is insane to me. But on top of that, bro, if you don't ever ground resist and it gets charged, because it's eating a hit no matter what, it gets charged, it's getting 60% back from a parabolic charge. So I think that mon is definitely just, I think that mon deserves more than we put it at. I think it should be at least tier 3. Low Kicks is a ridiculous Pokemon. I don't even know why we have that in low tier at all, though.
Listen, man, we definitely made some big oversights. One of which also being Dondozo in tier 4, which
Well, I'm glad that didn't get the play it could have gotten. I mean, no disrespect to the coach, but it could have been.
Well, the same
very
coach
detrimental.
that had Dondozo had Low Kick, so
Yeah, and then obviously Mouse Hole is just household. But if anybody would have prepped with a Rocky helmet, that mod is almost useless.
Alright, so do you just the way you're sounding? It sounds like you're giving this either low kicks or the Agent Bolt. Who do you give it to?
I'm gonna have to give it. I'm gonna go Milk Tank for this one.
Oh, you're gonna go Milk Tank.
I think I'm gonna go Milk Tank because like I said, I think Milk Tank and Appleton are the only ones that I really consider low tier. So like them having a pressure in the game is different for me, and like counters on Milk Tank were crazy because it's gonna just kill you because you can't kill it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it having thick fat milk drink, I just think that mod is crazy and it fit around the core of your team very well. And then Appleton I put it second because of its capabilities of being a wall as well, but
Right. If I guess to chip in a little bit, obviously Milk Tank. I felt like every week but one or two I brought Choppleberry on it, and it's just like it only has one weakness in that fighting, and if you can just live one move, one close combat, or one focus, whatever you need to live, Milk Tank just is so unkillable. It's such a good mod. Like you said, Sap Sipper, Thick Fat, two abilities you can never go wrong with. And honestly, in the draft, I was most scared of Milk Tank getting sniped from me because of because I knew because Thick Fat pairs amazingly with the Garchomp, and the Fire Resist pairs well with also Garchomp because he used Terra Steel and just other things on my team. The Sap Sipper, for the few times I ran into some grass sets, like Rillaboom comes to mind, just being able to Sap Sipper up is really good. So, but in my opinion, I didn't think Milk Tank was going to win because while low kicks probably shouldn't have been tier 4, he still was tier 4. So in my mind, it's pretty clear that low kicks probably was gonna win. And your boy Nick maybe didn't have the greatest of seasons, but he beat a coach in Preston while Preston kind of fell off plus ratio towards the end. First half of the season, he was looking real scary. So for Nick to end his season beating a coach that's been here for a while, even had a last respects user in Basket Legion, being able to just have that one mon that was like the shining light of his team in low kicks, just great season for low kicks. Not a great season for Nick, still learning, expecting a lot from him next season.
Yeah, now low kicks is on the radar for everybody's team next season. So
Nick could franchise it.
I think he did want to franchise it, and then everybody scared him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's gonna franchise. If he doesn't franchise this thing's getting picked up like round 2 or 3. So
yeah, for sure.
Low kicks probably shouldn't have been in this category, but rules are rules. You deserved it. So move on to the next one. Best duo. I guess first glance, what really stands out in your mind?
I think Chimpao should have gone with Slowbro.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree that a lot of people just voted on 2 mons that were just like doing work for their team. There wasn't really synergy for them. Because the only ones that I can see on here that were really duos and like countering each other and being a pivot for one another is Palafin and Goodra, and then Slitherwing and Valiant. Because Slitherwing was the paradox that could come in for Valiant when, it couldn't stay in anymore.
I actually disagree with that, but I'll let you finish.
Okay. I do like the Orthworm is set up into Gyarados because you get up a D-Dance, it is very good. I just don't see Iron Bundle and Mega Gallade I didn't see. And then obviously Dragapult and Champower are both ridiculous in their own right, but they're not working off of each other. You're bringing one in to just wipe a team, and then once that one dies, you're bringing in the next one to wipe a team.
Right, but my thing is, I guess since Slitherwing did become his Terra Captain, it made it a little bit better. I'm not shitting on Tanner. I don't want this to be shitting on Tanner thing, but when you have 2 fighting types that kind of do the same thing, obviously one can be mixed or whatever, and then the other one is mostly physical, but I think that's probably the one that was kind of the weirdest for me on this list personally. That's obviously whatever. But I think if anything, if you're looking at pure duo value, in my mind, it has to be Gyarados Earthworm. Very reminiscent of the Nidoking Whimsicott last year, just something to set up for something else. And Gyarados can switch in on those fighting hits and fire hits that Earthworm can't really deal with. They're both immune to ground, which is massive for just any team building. Having one gets healed by ground moves, so I think if you're looking for a pure dual, I kind of agree with you. A lot of the things this year, not in the traditional sense of a duo, but I think if you are looking for that classic duo, it is the Earthworm Gyarados, just because you have a defensive mon that pairs very well with the offensive mon and can set up for it near perfectly. In my mind, that's the one to look at. While Chin-Pao and Dragapult, they're just kind of two great offensive mons together. It kind of reminds me of the Victini Mega Lopunny that Tabs had last season, just two offensive mons that just kind of ran the league. They both got nominated for offensive MVP. They're both in the kill leader race. Chin-Pao came in second, Dragapult's like 4th or 5th. So, while they don't work off each other as well as like Slowbro would, I think it's still fair to say, even though it's not the greatest pairing. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would personally say that I think Palafin and Goodra should win this category just off the ability for Palafin to flip turn. And if there's an electric mon in front of it, 90% of electric mons are going to be special, and Goodra can just sit in front of it for 50 turns. So that's my reasoning on the Palafin Goodra, but I do see what you're saying on the Earthworm Gyarados.
Right, no, I mean, Palafin Goodra, I mean, Chris' second team in the league for a reason, just relying on those two week in and week out to just put in the work. I mean,
yeah, I'm grateful it's banned. I'm grateful it's banned on the next season.
I didn't post the results yet, so you know, maybe it got.
If it isn't, I might have to take a break.
All right. Let's see who won the best duo. Goes to Croc, Earthworm, and Gyarados. So, kind of like I was saying, if you're looking for pure duo value, I think this is the most traditional. That, like, kind of like I said, the Nidoking and Win from last season, just great pairing. Super scary because you give Gyarados a turn to just click Dragon Dance for free. Shit hits the fan real quick.
Right. Nah, I agree. I mean, if I think they deserve it too. I think they did work well together.
Yeah, because if you look at Croc's team, I mean, Bax definitely got a lot of kills. Track end towards the end of the season was getting a lot, but for a majority of the season, Gyarados was just putting the team on the back, and I feel like without the free turns that Shedtail was providing, I don't know. But Croc...
Yeah, imagine if he would have done the Earthworm into the backs to get up a D-Dance.
Yeah, it's just... He was doing it too. He was switching it up. Like, he would choose just one or two between the two just to get up their Dragon Dances, but most of the time it was that Gyarados, just because even if you're behind a sub, it's still a mind game. Does he Terra? Because if you click that electric move and he clicks Terra Ground, he could potentially get a second Dragon Dance up, and then that's game. So, really scary duo. Croc had a great season. Unfortunately, had to play the dog in the quarterfinals, but be what it be. Congratulations, much deserved award. Now, we're on to Best Tech. New category for this season. But I think it's a fun one. I think it definitely showcases Coach's prep.
Why are two of these mons against me, bro?
Hey man, people just had to bring the tech against you, bro. They had to deal with the dog. Alright, but I guess we'll start with that. So, I guess when you played Josh and Taz, what caught you more off guard? The Assurance Lopunny or the Mirror Herb Tusk?
I mean, the Mirror definitely didn't catch me off guard because at that point in the game, I mean, his Samurott was sweeping my team, so like, it didn't really, and I didn't have Terra Fairy Garg at that point either, so like, it didn't really like do anything for me. Because if I would have been Terra Fairy Garg, his body presses would have been doing, 3%. So like that doesn't really stick around to me too much. The Insurance was crazy though. The Assurance caught me off guard. And I forgot what it did. So I didn't know it was because I swapped in Slowbro that it did that much damage. I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna lose because this dude can just two-shot Slowbro. But yeah, so that definitely caught me off guard because me and you prepped for that game, and you did not prepare me for that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good stronghold of knowledge in the game of Pokemon, and when Tabs told me about this going into this game, um, I was flabbergasted. I didn't know that Assurance damage procced on the same turn as Stealth Rocks. So when he told me that, um, it just threw me for a fucking loop. So I think, in my mind, I think this is the winner because again, it's one of those mechanics that even more experienced players probably don't know about. Um, but to give the other ones a shout, I think Overquillium, that's probably the most in-depth EV spread I've ever. I mean, it's Tabs' mon, but I kind of made the set, so I'm gonna take the credit for here. Tabs, fuck you. But Overquillium, very niche, just EV spreading. I couldn't even tell you what the numbers are for now. Anyway, that was like 6 or 7 weeks ago. It was that specific. Min Speed Arboliva doesn't seem that crazy, but when you give the context of it, it prevented MNAS from getting a free switch into some things on this team like Chinpow or Dragapult that could deal with Arboliva, but they didn't want to eat the damage. So by Arboliva outslowing Fortress, it really put MNAS on the back foot to be like, what the fuck is eating a hit from Arboliva? And in my opinion, if he wasn't Min Speed Arboliva, I don't know if B even makes playoffs. And now they're playing each other in the semifinals, so
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think this is up here for a reason. I think MNAS 100%, you gotta prep for it because again, you're playing him in semifinals, and he kind of bozoed you with the Arboliva last time, so don't let it happen to you twice. But the last one,
Which is my vote. I think this should win.
yeah, this is the one that's most salient in everyone's mind. This was, I'll let you take it, but this was a crazy one.
Dude, for me, it's not so much the magic coat, but it was the fact of how he used it. He didn't use it on a perfect turn. He then used it on a perfect turn, and I think it was just crazy. Like watching that back was just like a highlight reel of predictions, and I think it was. That's why it's my vote. Everything else up here is pretty clear cut and dry. You know what's going on, but the magic coat was crazy.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think of all the techs up here, I think Magic Coat was definitely the. I think when everyone was in the peanut gallery watching that game, the call kind of erupted when Sableye just started like 1v5ing. So your boy Biff did take home the award. I mean, the other ones, great techs by the coaches that brought them, but it was very hard for a lot of people to not vote for this.
Yeah, it was crazy. I agree.
Yeah, so Biff had a little bit of a rough season, but got an award out of it. Oh my God, heavens! Oh, all right. So we're gonna move on from that, and best mega. So I guess I'll let you start off again, because you didn't play me or Chris, so you haven't played the Blastoise or Burnett. But Biff was in your division. You played Noah and B. Give me a little bit of a rundown here.
So, again, the two people I played, and Biff and Noah.
Well, you played B as
Biff
well.
and B. Biff and B. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Biff and B. The Megas didn't really have any value against me. For B, the Sneasler was beating the shit out of my team. And then for Biff, it was really just the Iron Bundle that could take out what it wanted to take out. I don't really have Mega Glalie in my mind for this. I mean, yeah, it comes in and it does a shite ton of damage, but it's just taking, 25 from rocks, and then, a Mach Punch does 80. So like that for me, it just you have to put it around a Hail team, I think. And I mean, no disrespect to Noah, he played very well this season, but that's just my opinion on that. I think it does come down between Mega Blastoise and Mega Banette. I think I think Chris could have, like, no disrespect to Chris, but I think he could have played Bennett so much better. Because if you're running, max special attack, max HP, not only are you living hits, but when you get up a deep on, they're not going to hit you. And then if you're throwing out shadow balls, it's doing 75%. So if they don't want to sack that mon, they're trying to keep switching around your Destiny Bond, they're eventually going to either have their whole team whittled down to nothing, or or they're getting debonded and they lose them on, and you're losing, Bennett, which isn't a huge piece of the puzzle. Like, that's what it's there to do. No, I still think Chris played Bennett very well, and I think it was very important to his draft. I don't think he needed a Mega that was putting out, like, huge numbers. I think he needed a Mega that could just pivot and disrupt things, and that's what it did. So I think that was a very good pick on Chris's part. He drafted very well this season. But honestly, I just got to give it to Blastoise because, dude, that Mega Launcher is just fucking crazy, bro. It being able to one-shot, things like Gourgeist with Dark Pulse, with Mega Launcher boost, Water Pulses for doing a ridiculous amount, at the same time still being a wall for a team is just crazy.
Yeah. Majority of the weeks, I brought him, like, max HP, max defense, or, like, max bulk, and those Mega Launcher hits are still doing, like, 35 to 50 to things. That's without attack investment.
Right.
And, again, you bring Shell Smash a couple weeks here and there, most notably my game against Croc, and it's literally a free win because if Blastoise with no investment is doing half, if you get a Shell Smash up, there's nothing that lives a hit. And that's the fear of Blastoise in my mind. I voted for Blastoise because obviously he's mine, and also just, again, Blastoise just, for a team, he gives you so much. A bulky water, a sweep, a setup sweeper, a rapid spinner,
removal,
yeah, like it gives you so much. It's kind of crazy to me that Blastoise hasn't been drafted until this season. Now that I've used it, I think a lot of coaches are going to be looking at it moving into future seasons. I think all the Megas up here will be. I think Glalie was the one that we were kind of memeing on earlier, but I think after Noah used it, definitely looked at by coaches. I think Bennett, again, just the pure disruption value, prankster, you can never go wrong with it. And just to talk about the other two as well, Aerodactyl, just a Mega I personally value very highly in the format. Just 150 speed, just speed ties with Alakazam, and then really all you have to worry about is like Regieleki. So just insane value out of Amon, tough claws, great ability. And Glade, in my mind, this is how I saw Blastoise number 1, and then Bennett and Glade were like tied in second in my mind. Because Glade dropped it dropped like 41 kills this season. It was like top 10 in the kill leaders. Glade, just a crazy Mega. Tanner used it last season to some success, but Biff just went crazy with it. Unfortunately, a lot of his team's offensive pressure was pinned on the bundle and Glade at times, which didn't feel good, but Glade never ceased to not perform. Just a crazy Mega that just, again, like Bennett, they have base 165 attack, so even if you're not investing into it, like, you are hitting really hard, and Glade was punching mad holes through teams this season. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I also want to say that I think Mega Sharpedo, if I draft him at the start of the season, he's up here.
I would agree. I think that was a big reason in your season turnaround. And I nominated these 4 Megas here for me, but this last one was T-Tar. But again, if you had Sharpedo a little bit longer, I probably would have put Sharpedo up here. But the people thought Glalie put in a little bit more work, and I guess that's fair enough. But
fair enough.
So we both think Blastoise is taking it home, right?
100%.
Unfortunately, Biff Glade is taking it home.
Back to back awards for Biff.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have a great. I mean, to say he didn't have a great season is true, but it's just the facts. But to have the few Pokemon that really shined out on your team was the Sableye, the Bundle, and then the Gallade. I mean, again, it's Tier 1 Mega. Tanner had it last season, took it to a semifinals. Biff didn't make playoffs, but I think without Gallade on his team is just so... I don't even know if he gets wins without it. I mean, Gallade was just putting the work in, and if Blastoise was to drop the award to anyone, I can't be mad that it was Gallade.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. I still think Blaster should have won. Disrespect to Biff.
Disrespect to Biff.
I'm giving Biff a lot of shit. But I can see why Gallade is up here. It did very well for Biff's team.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the next one, we got Best Terra. This is a crazy ass category. I mean, Annihilate the first half of the season. In my mind, if you talk about first half of the season Annihilate, we're talking about ban worthy. Like, he was going in. Rillaboom just carried. Like, when Taz made those trades, I think objectively his team was worse, but the Rillaboom just double grassy glide boost, grassy terrain, enough said. Moth, one of the greatest Terra captains to be introduced. Gyarados, we talked about earlier, and Palafin, just don't got to get much into that, but I guess in your mind, who do you see as the best Terra?
For me, I gotta go Rillaboom. For sure.
The monkey.
I mean, it's a priority, comes in on its switch, and it's doing 80. No matter what, it's doing 80.
Yeah.
You're basically, your only play is to have a bulky fire type and flying, and hope it can survive to outlast the terrain. On top of that, Mon already being bulky as it is, what is it, like base 100 defense or some shit like that?
I think it's like 100 HP and then like 80 something defenses.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that Mon was nuts. I mean, you had to just keep trying to find ways around it, and then on top of it, having access to bulk up, Swords Dance, things like that. It's just crazy. I do think Annihilate would probably be my second, just because of the value it brought. I think Water was an interesting typing for me. I think it would have been a little bit crazier to go a little bit more of a defensive typing.
Well, that's why he did Water.
Yeah, Water is defensive, but I think you go with something with a little bit less prowess that's not going to be in on, Annihilate. So, like, if he went, Fairy or Psychic, Dark types that can't Dark types want to come in on it but can't because of the fighting stab that it still has from it being Psychic. I think if he would have went a little bit more of like the pressuring route, it would have been crazy. I think Palafin's in my bottom 5. No disrespect to Chris, but it didn't really use its Terra to me. It was just wiping things with, Wave Crash, Jet Punch. It's just... And most of the times he didn't even want to switch to that normal because it just added a weakness that he didn't need or what he was in front of. I think the Water was just... For him, I just don't think Damon needed the Terra.
Right.
Iron Moth is a pretty standard one, so like that one, didn't really catch anybody off guard because of its access to Giga Drain and then it resisting. Energy Ball, and then it resisting, earthquakes and things like that. I think Gyarados was an interesting one just to get rid of its 4-time weakness. Was an interesting one because it allowed you to do more with Moxie, which was good. So I would go 1 Rillaboom, 2 Annihilate, 3 Gyarados, 4 Iron Moth, 5 Palafin.
I'm kind of in the reverse of you, not completely. I think Palafin definitely not weakest by any other standard than just Terra, because it's one of those cases where it's doing the work without Terra anyway, so giving it, like, it boosts something that's already so powerfully strong that it doesn't necessarily need it.
Right.
So I kind of agree. I think Palafin was definitely on my 5th spot. But in my mind, I have the Rillaboom and Gyarados flipped. I think Gyarados just turning something that you are quad weak to and like guaranteed getting one shot by anything by to a straight up immunity, and then getting a boost to the most spammable move. I'll say second most spammable move in the game because I think Moonblast is slightly more spammable, but Earthquake, the 2 times I played Croc this season, the quarterfinals in like week 11, I didn't even bring Zera Orb because I didn't want to lose that mind game and then not to give him a Moxie boost. It's just such a scary thing to prep against. Annihilate, again, I kind of have the same feelings with you for everything else, but I kind of swapped the Gyarados and Rillaboom. Not to say Rillaboom was a bad Terra Captain. I think, your Chi-Yu took like 70% from a Grassy Glide. Like, you switch in once and then you're just dead. So, like, no disrespect to Rillaboom at all, but I think when you're talking about Terra, like Gyarados is that one mon in tier 1 where it's like hard to justify drafting, but now with the introduction of Terra, I think Gyarados easily becomes a staple of tier 1, and I think a lot of coaches moving forward will definitely look at it. So
I definitely do think that some coaches should invest in taking one of those lower tier mons and then putting them into a Terra to make them have higher tier value.
Right, for sure. But alright, so your vote's for the Monkey and my vote's for the Gyarados. So Gyarados taking home another award.
Bro, screen peeking. Bro chose these answers himself. He chose the winners.
Yo, bro, if I chose the winners, Blastoise and Miltank were taking it home. But
bro, it's gonna throw us off a scent.
But yeah, kind of just to finish up, but Gyarados, just from one Gyarados enjoyer to the next, I mean, just fantastic season from Gyarados. I mean, kind of like Nidoking from last season, just a mon that maybe wasn't on, I don't want to say the best team because, like, I don't want to sound fucked up. Like, he was a playoff team, but obviously, like, wasn't on the highest of teams. It wasn't on the lowest of teams either way, but I think without Gyarados on this team, Croc doesn't make playoffs. And again, like Nidoking from last season with Chase, just a staple to Croc.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. Wasn't Gyarados a kill leader? Or close?
He was up there for sure, but no.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I mean, he wasn't, the highest tiered mon, and he still put up very good numbers on the kill leader slot. So, I mean, I can see this happening.
Yeah. Good shit, Croc. Gyarados taking home another award. Gotta love to see it. Now, another big category here. We have most improved coach. A couple similar faces from last season in Preston, Chris, and B. But 2 of the newcomers in Croc and Biff. But I guess in your mind, who is the most improved this season?
So I voted for Croc.
Okay.
Based off of him coming in with very limited knowledge, and then getting some help from Tanner, and then figuring out on his own what he wanted to do and how he could perform, propelled him into playoffs. And if you look at Croc's team from the outside looking in, it's not a scary team. I'm going to be honest. It's not a team that you look and you go, holy shit, how do I prep for this? Which is, what Chris's team is. It was what Preston's team was. Obviously, B has a lot of heavy hitters on his team. And then, Biff having Iron Bundle, Mega Gallade. I do think Biff, I can't say Biff was most improved because he did still have a bad record by the end of the season. I mean, not to reflect on him as a coach.
Right.
He is new. He has no idea how everyone plays, which is why I give it more to Croc as well, because it's coming into a season where he doesn't know how anybody plays. He knocked off Tanner, which is part of the big 3. And, the first 2 seasons, Meteor and Tanner weren't losing regular game matches, but to each other.
Right.
So for me, that's the reason I put Croc up there.
I definitely have to agree. I mean, just coming out of the draft, he had Frostmoth, Alolan Sandslash, and Mega Abomasnow. I mean, when you have 3 mons that are quad weak to fire, I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to do much of anything this season, but he used a lot of his free agency trades early. like right after week 1, week 2 forward, he's been having the same team. Obviously, towards the end, he traded away Zorak for Comfey because he needed hazard removal. Tanner kind of bozoed him there. A little unfortunate, but I mean, I kind of agree with you, Croc. To go from just such a terrible draft and still finding a way to make it into playoffs and have a good season, definitely impressive stuff. Croc, second place for me because in my mind, I got to give it to my boy B. I mean, you come in season 2 to an 0-4 record. You know nothing about the game. You pick up some wins here and there, but you fall out of playoffs early. It wasn't a great season for B, but he learned a lot. Got some experience in RDL a bit, but that league kind of washed away because Gen 9 came out and some other stuff they're dealing with. But coming into this season, I mean, every iteration of it, in my mind, he's had like 3 iterations. He's had the original team where he had Golden Ghost, Shaman, and Quillfish. That team struggled a bit. We definitely saw a lot of Season 2 be there, just he wasn't comfortable with it. Then he traded those 3 away, and he got Landorus. What did he get? He got like Landorus from Bombay and Incineroar. I forget what he got exactly. Oh, he got Landorus, Sneasler, who he also made his Terra Captain, switched it off Electric Latias. Then he got Registeel. And that just solidified his team so much. He started going absolutely crazy. And then towards the end, made a couple more trades just to help him in the playoffs a bit. But B, to go from a season ago being kind of a free coach in a way, season 2, B was like Nick or New this season. It was just kind of like a load in, and he just kind of beat him. And then now, he's in semifinals against MNAS. I mean, B just immense growth. I mean, when we were sitting here last year, we said B is a playoff contender for sure moving into Season 3. And now he's contending for a chip against the Season 2 champ. I mean, in my mind, you can't get a better storyline than that.
Nah, but on the flip side of it, I never saw B as a weak coach. I think even when he came in and he took over the 0-4 record, he was showing, like, he had to draft an entire team and, you know, however long we gave him and then work with it. And I think he showed signs of, you know, very great coaching, which is why I would put B at my number 1. And that's just my only reason for that. I think I thought he was good when he came in to start. I didn't think he was a weak coach that needed to get better. I just thought, you know, once he got more comfortable in the role like of Pokemon Draft and playing against us and learning what people did, I think he would have been fine. And he is doing fine. I mean, granted, he did scrape into these playoffs, but
as long as you make it.
No, 100%. But I think he did well. I mean, in overall, like my eyes, statistically, Chris is the most improved coach.
Yeah.
Statistically. But when I look at his team, I mean, I guess I have to give him some credit because he did draft it. But I look at his team, and a lot of wins are on the back of just Palafin. Right. And Palafin being, you know, a banned mon, or should be banned. A very, very, very powerful mon. And then on the back of Goodra. And I feel like he brought kind of the same sets every week. I feel like it was Palafin and then 5 mons that could eat a hit and then switch back into Palafin, which isn't a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in hindsight of what I see other coaches working with and how far they've come with what they're working with and how they started. That's why I went with Croc.
Fair enough. I mean, kind of just to wrap it up with you, statistically is Chris, but I think the team he has is definitely very strong. But I guess to counter your argument a bit, I definitely don't think Chris brought the same sets every week. He definitely switched it up a decent amount, but kind of like you were saying, just the team he has is so incredible. Just I think Chris, he made playoffs last year. While it wasn't the greatest record, I think he was like 7-11 or something.
Right.
He definitely, like, Chris has always been improving, so like in my mind, it's not out of the question that he did go 11-3 this season. But and I guess to kind of back you up a little bit with the B argument, B wasn't free, but it's like you said earlier, just the first 2 seasons, me, you, and Tanner, kind of the big three, just the only people we're losing to were ourselves. So
Yeah.
So for B to just, he beat you in the regular season, he beat Mnez, which, you know, maybe he doesn't beat in season 2.
Playoff MNAS maybe is different. It's different.
Yeah, listen, man. I'll be honest. I was the first to say it moving into this playoffs, but I did not expect Lightning to strike twice. But playoff Mnez, a different breed. We're gonna see how B deals with it. But anyway, the winner is the B Drill Bandits and my boy B. I mean, I already went on my rant about him, but B just absolutely crazy season. Even in the beginning, still struggled, even with a mon like Golden Go that is so crazy, to turn it around and just get mons he's comfortable with, to get the Terra Dark Sneasler. I mean, B, if there's anyone who can beat playoff MNAS, it's probably B, just because he beat him so badly the last time they played that MNAS' mental gonna be a little... MNAS even said, I'm not going to finals the second B won its game against Josh earlier. So when you just have that mental advantage over someone who's a champion of Big Juice, I mean, B, got to give it up to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely deserved. I definitely think MNAS is definitely in his own head a bit.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't realize that GM Powell quite literally solos a lot of mons. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, still deserved for B. It would have been my second pick.
Yeah. So we spent enough time in this category. B, much deserved. Looking forward to your semifinal game against MNAS. It's gonna be a banger for sure. And there's a lot of sets here, so can't get too in depth. But
let's not.
But I guess if we were to talk about the big one, and you're also up here, you and Tabs, that was a game.
I mean, yeah, and if I'm gonna be honest with you, it's the only game I can talk about. Because
Right.
I don't know any of the rest of I cannot remember what happened in the rest of these games other than B and MNAS with the Arbol with it.
Right. So, so after you explain yours, I'll kind of give like a light recap of the others, but go on with yours.
Okay. So with mine, I think mine's just crazy because of how on the back foot I was. It was a 3v6, and this was a playoff determining game for me and Tabs. Because if I lose this, I don't have the momentum to win the last 2 games of the season. And maybe I would have done things differently, which could have hurt me. Being 3v6, I had to make every play perfectly. I had to predict his predictions. I had to stay in when he wasn't wanting to stay in. I had to make sure I had mons have enough health that they could live past a certain point. And I think after everyone was seeing 6-3, they were like, okay, well, JC just fucking loses this, and that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, big comeback from the boy. Close game. Again, don't want to spend too much time on each game, but if I were to just give the highlight from each game, B versus MNAS week 12, the Arboliva show. B kind of securing like his mental for playoffs a bit. Week 5, MNAS versus Chris. MNAS has Chris on the absolute ropes midway through game 2. And then for some godforsaken reason, he switches Chin Pao in on a Frostmoth Bug Buzz, loses Chin Pao instantly. Chris then goes on, gets the 2-1 victory. Crazy game. MNAS, probably the worst play I have ever seen. So shout out to MNAS for giving Chris a free win. Tanner versus Josh. Very early, the same week as Chris versus MNAS, but early in the season where there wasn't any playoff implications, but just a great set all around. Tanner lost due to missing a Thunder Wave on the Iron Moth, who was super set up. Hits the Thunder Wave, Tanner wins. Just unlucky way for Tanner to lose that set, but Josh played it well as well. And then Croc versus Chase. This was a very big playoff game because Chase needed all the wins he could get at this point to even have a chance. But this was the only game this season that ended with a 0 differential. Can't get much closer than that. Quite literally. Cannot.
Quite literally.
So, I'm assuming just because you're not too familiar with the other sets, you're voting for yours, right?
I gotta go with mine. Yep.
All right. So set of the season. Croc, just taking home all the awards today, man. Just taking them
I
all.
mean, Jesus, man. After you got 3-0 in playoffs, you wouldn't think so, but
All right, so yeah, kind of like I was saying earlier, when you win a game or lose a game by 0 differential, you can't get mad. To give Chase some credit, his Prim Reading got crit like turn 1 in the 3rd game, and Prim Reading was a core member to his team. But Chase probably shouldn't have stayed in anyway. If I'm remembering circumstances correct, he probably should have switched regardless. But yeah, just great set from these two. Chase he's got that. We've been saying it for the past 3 seasons, man. But he's got that dog in him. Some weeks he just shows up and plays amazing. I mean, quite frankly, he should have beat me this season.
I just think Chase needs to get out of the repetition of same mods.
Absolutely.
I think if Chase explores his options a little bit and drafts a wall, which him and his brother seem to have in common, I think he would have. I think he's going to be a coach that is going to win Most Improved Coach next season if he expands his draft pool a little bit and stops going with Mons he thinks he knows like the back of his hand.
Right. I mean, this season for me and Chase, for my mind and Chase, like this is kind of the culmination of the past 3 seasons for him. He had a lot of season 1 teammates on there, mostly season 2 teammates on there, but he finally had a mega that he found some success with Johnny Adams. He used Regieleki Ice, which coming into this season I thought was a mon we probably should have banned just because of the fear. But even then, he made some friends like Cinderace, Regieleki, and that's pretty much it. Dusclops.
All offensive mons.
Yeah, his 2 bulky mons, Lantern, brought the 3 games. Dusclops, I'll be fair, he brought it a lot in the first half of the season, but second half did not show up at all. But Chase, same thing that JC was saying, just if you and your brother can get out of this stupid mindset of offense is better, you guys will do much better in Big Juice. I mean, much
100%.
better. So
100%.
congrats to Croc and Chase. Sucks that Chase is winning an award for a game that he lost, but when you have the community vote of the best game, I mean, that can't feel bad. So congrats to both of them. And now we're getting on to the big categories here. We got defensive MVP. We got Agent Bolt and Miltank up here, who are also on our low tier high value. But you got some other ones like Gudra, your Garganachi, and Ferrothorn. So kind of walk me through it here a bit.
I'm going to have to go with my boy Garganachi. I'm going to have to go for sure. He is also franchised to the Queen City Quillfish.
Saying it now.
I mean, Garganachi had the ability to win by himself while still being a wall. He is a wall that is a wall breaker, and he forced prep, he forced covert cloaks, and then on top of that, if you weren't a ghost type, he's setting up on you and he's body pressing. So for me, I gotta go with Garganackle. My second would definitely be Gudra because of just how ridiculous that mon is. On top of getting gooey, if you make contact with it, you're slowing down. I think that mon is very, very good defense. Obviously, I used the original Gudra in season 1. Obviously, this is just a better Gudra, so I'm gonna have to go with that as my number 2. I think I would go Miltank number 4. Just for the overall value of the pick. I think Bellybolt number Miltank number 3, Bellybolt number 4, and then Ferrothorn number 5.
So you think just in top left to bottom right, that's the order you'd vote in?
Right, correct.
Okay.
I just think in terms of Ferrothorn, I mean, we saw a little bit of it this past game, whether it's just because B may or may not have a little bit of mental stability with clicking U-turn on Landorus into Ferrothorn, Ironbarb, Dragon Helmet, Life Orb, whatever. But, I mean, Ferrothorn is always going to be a wall. It just doesn't have the special defense and the offensive pressure still, while the other mons have that. Milk
Right.
Tank still has that. Belly Bolt still has that by getting charged up. Goodra has literally access to 90% moves of the game. And then Garganacl being able to just wear the shit out of your team.
Yeah, I mean, in draft, there's two typings you always need. A steel type and a water, preferably a bulky water. And when you have a rock type that can deal 25% chip damage at the end of the turn, that's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. And obviously, once JC made his Terra Captain and Fairy, granted, you can still just slam a steel move into it, but you know, if you click close combat and he goes Fairy, you're kind of chalked.
But also, if you take Assault Cure and you're Steel type, you're taking 25% from Assault Cure.
Exactly. And another thing is JC said the only thing that walls it is ghost types, but then Purifying Salt means you resist ghost hits. So,
right.
Garganacl just absolutely crazy, man. I have to agree. In my mind, hands down, Garganacl the winner. I kind of agree with you for the rest, just voting-wise. So, I guess we'll just go along with it. The winner... JC, finally.
Yeah.
Last season, he didn't get his chance to win, but this season, the Garganacl coming through. I mean,
let's go.
I'll be honest, though. When the first couple votes came in, like the first half of the votes, like the first 7 or 8 votes came in, Belly Bolt was in the lead, surprisingly. But, Garganacl, obviously, a lot of people, I mean, you hate on it because it did so good, type of thing.
Right. Nah, yeah, no, he's the class, and he's the people's champ for sure when it comes to defensive wall.
I call him the Rock Salt.
I mean, this season I'm going to be building around Garganacl, which is going to piss a lot of people off, but it's something that I lacked this season, and picking a lot of mons that are weak to fighting types. So I'm definitely coming in season 4 with a team that I feel very, very confident with. I haven't really done a lot of draft work, but I'm definitely going to plan around building around this mon being able to come in and finish what I start.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, I think your season, even when, in my mind, you remember in the WWE when Shawn Michaels like lost his smile type of thing? That's what that's what season 3 kind of was for me. It was like JC like lost his smile, like he just wasn't doing good. But even in the games where you weren't doing good, Garganacl was just carrying the team. I mean, at one point in the season, Garganacl had more kills than Chi-Yu. I mean, up until like Garganacl had 24, Chi-Yu had 25, just to give some context. Like up until the last couple games where you just decided to just keep scarfing Chi-Yu, Garganacl was like your kill leader, and it's just insane. I mean, Garganacl just, if it didn't win this award, I'd probably just give it to it anyway, just because people are just lying. I mean, just insane season.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the perfect wall. I mean, other than I think it's typing, with it being
Rock.
Yeah, rock, and it having so many weaknesses. It's just a ridiculous mon. And then on top of it being able to recover, on top of it being able to salt cure, on top of it being able to protect off those salt cures, it's just, I mean, I do not think in Pokemon right now there is a better wall.
I would say this is probably the best wall Pokemon has ever created. I mean, yeah, just.
I'm making Ghost type next season, bro. So it only has one weakness.
Oh, and then Purifying Salt just doesn't do a whole lot for you. So, Garganacl JC taking home your award. I feel like you and Tabs just are always gonna be winning this award, just because how you two play. So, we'll see who wins next season, you or Tabs. So now for offensive MVP. There's 3 other mons on this screen, but I think the top 2 is the flavor of the season. So in your mind, who's winning, Palafin or Chin-Pao?
I gotta go with Chin-Pao. I just Chin-Pao having the speed it has, on top of the ability it has, on top of the coverage it gets, on top of the attack stat that it has. It is just an absolute ridiculous mon. And on top of that, still having a little bit of bulk. And on top of that, still having priority.
Yeah, having dual stab priority in Ice Shard and Sucker Punch is absolute. I mean, we've seen it for years now with Weavile. Granted, he didn't get Sucker Punch least I don't think so. But Dark Ice is just the best offensive typing in my mind. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but when you actually use it and play against it, it feels unfucking stoppable. So
I mean, yeah, like I just played it to lose in the playoffs, and the only thing I could bring in was a throwaway Hitmontop. That's all it was there for, was to come in on Chien-Pao, Rocky Helmet, try to Mach Punch. He did have a Chopper Berry to eat that Mach Punch the first time, and then he did some insane shit where he kept it in. It was ridiculous. But, you know, so, I mean, I mean, Palafin also is a fantastic offensive mon, but I think if Chi-Yu and Palafin go head to head, you have to scarf. You're gonna have to scarf Palafin because it just dies.
Yeah. So kind of the difference between Chien-Pao and Palafin is like Chien-Pao does have some bulk, but compared to Palafin, the glass cannon of the two, Palafin just insanely bulky. I mean, this thing is living any one hit. You're not one-shotting Palafin by any means. Just Jet Punch, just the best priority move in the game. I don't know why they'd ever make a priority move a 60 base power. It just doesn't make sense to me.
E-Speed says, hey.
Yeah. Wave Crash. Off 170 base attack with stab. Nothing's living. Yeah, I mean, Palafin, you do give up a turn in baby Palafin form, but 99% of the time that doesn't matter because you just click flip turn. So, yeah, I mean, in my mind, it was very hard to vote between the two, but I guess spoiler for the next category. But for offensive MVP, I did Chien-Pao, and for MVP, I did Palafin. My difference being is I think Chien-Pao offensively was a lot scarier to deal with than Palafin, because Palafin, well, it's just as scary. I think Chien-Pao just that 1% more in my mind. But
I think it's the speed, bro.
Yeah,
I think it's solely
the speed.
that's separating.
Because if you're slower than Palafin, or if you're faster than Palafin, he clicks Jet Punch, which still hurts a lot. But when you are faster than everything, and you can click Crunch or Sacred Sword or Ice Spinner and just one shot, that's very good. But for MVP, I said Palafin because, I mean, we'll get into it in a bit. But anyway, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Chien-Pao definitely deserving of it. But who wins, Chien-Pao or the Finn? It's gonna be the Finn. I mean, it's just flavor of the two. In my mind, I think the reason Palafin won offensive MVP was just because that one 58 to 57 kills. I think that one kill that made Palafin the kill leader, I think that's what made people want to vote for Palafin over Chien-Pao. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a 50-50 of who was winning this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, I could see it going either way. Offensive, and of course, you know, these two mons should be banned. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're both ridiculous. I think, like, I have Chi-Yu. I think if Chi-Yu has either Chien-Pao speed or Palafin's bulk, it's, you know, I'm getting stones thrown at me. So, I mean, I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it going either way. They were both absolutely ridiculous cannons for their team.
Yeah, and again, like I just said, I think it's that one kill difference that kind of hit Mnez in the ass here. But, I mean, again, 50-50 at the end of the day. People voted for the Palafin, so good job, Chris. Not like it was hard to use, but offensive MVP going to the Palafin. Overall MVP, we got the Chien-Pao Palafin again, but we have the defensive MVP, Garganacci, and we have the best Terra, and the guy who's just sweeping the award show in Gyarados. So, I guess in your mind, do the other two compare to Chien-Pao Palafin, or is it just another 50-50?
I mean, I think Garganacle's up there.
Okay.
Simply because Garganacle takes both of those mons on 1v1 at Terra Fairy. But I mean, I don't want to be too biased here. Because Garganacle definitely was the MVP of my team, and I think overall my division. Okay. But I don't know. I gotta go with Chien-Pao Palafin again. I mean, they're literally. I would lean more towards Palafin simply because if Chris doesn't have Palafin, I think his season is 100% different. While Mnaz losing Chimpao, I don't think that does too much to Mnaz. So I think I'd have to go with Palafin for MVP.
Yeah, kind of the same feeling that you just said. I kind of alluded to it like 5 minutes ago, but I think Chris having Palafin, if he does not have Palafin this season, I'm not saying he's not in semifinals, but the road to semifinals becomes exponentially harder. Mnaz surprisingly had a worse season than last. I mean, he went 10-8 last season and 7-7 this season, so I guess you can say comparable. But
like right now, if Chris is out of playoffs if he doesn't have that Palafin against Tanner.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah. Palafin definitely puts on the pressure. Chimpao, obviously, again, it's like that 50-50, just kind of the flavor of the month thing. But we'll see. Does Palafin get both of the MVPs? It's going to be a yes. I mean, yeah. Chris just, without Palafin this season, like we were saying, how different is his season? Probably drastically different. But I think in general, he had a very good season. I definitely think, just outside of Palafin, I think he definitely improved a lot. I mean, we said it earlier in the most improved, but I mean, when you look at season 1, Chris, he's probably worse than Nick, I would say, in season 1. And then now he's in a position to win a chip 2 seasons later. Off the back of Palafin. I mean, Chris,
you gotta deal with Palafin next, bro.
Hey man, I'm one of the few people that beat Chris, but he's the only one who's beaten me. So it's definitely gonna be a rough one for your boy. I haven't even prepped for it yet. Probably should get on that sometime soon. But we'll cross that street a little bit later. And for the last category, we have Coach of the Season. So I guess just run through the coaches here and give your thoughts on them.
I think I voted you. I mean, simply because how can I not vote a guy who's going 11? Now, granted, I do think that, you're on the easier side of the bracket.
Oh, is that right?
And not just, I don't think simply for the coaches, but I think your team solely against the entirety of that bracket, I think your team matches up very well into them. And then you come over to my division, Mnaz, Chimpao, you got Iron Bundle, you got fucking even Nick down there with damn Corviknight, Dondozo, low kicks.
Oh no, Nick's on my side of the bracket. He's on my side.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll reel it back in. Yeah,
reel it back in, little bro.
But I mean, I can't knock an 11-1 season. I mean, for you, for how easy it is to get out prepped, or you predict one thing wrong and lose a game is still a factor in this league. And having 11-1 season is just crazy, especially with the talent we've brought in. Because honestly, I think obviously we give Nick some time and some coaching, he'll be up there. It's definitely not an easy league by any means. I think every game could go either way. So that's why I voted you, Chris. I'm just a Palafin hater. So, and then Josh was a very, very good coach, and he didn't have, his team is very spread out on, opportunity and like benefits for him. So I think Josh is very up there in coach of the season. Tanner, I don't know. I obviously Tanner being one of the best coaches in the league is still there, but I just think in this list he's probably on the 4th slot just because of when you think of Tanner, you're thinking 12-2 season or 11 and whatever. You went 13-1, right?
Yeah, it's a 14-week.
I don't know why I'm saying
13-1.
Yeah, 13-1's crazy. But, I mean, that's just what I say. I think Tanner uses to bottom teams when he shouldn't. Now, I'm not using bottom teams as an insult. I'm using bottom teams as, like, there's obviously still a learning curve to this, and Tanner is above that learning curve. But also, I still would bring it back to if Tanner expands the draft pool to having some bulkier mons, he's going to have way better seasons. But overall, I think you deserve that number one spot.
Yeah. I guess just to talk in reverse order, I think Tanner, he tested out some bulk this season. He did have a bulky water in Blastoise. He drafted Mega Aggron, which still hits hard, but again, 230 defense, kind of crazy. Had Glacier, had Vikavolt. I mean, to be fair, his team had a decent amount of bulk to it compared to previous seasons. But again, just in general, the lack of bulk that I think his team was very bulky this season compared to how he normally plays, and I think that's why he struggled a bit, is because he's not used to playing around. He's used to just HO and just trying to hit every turn. And for the most part, that's kind of what he did. But he kind of started transitioning to more bulk. I think this is like the experimental season for him. I think he very much learned a lot, and especially Mega Aggron's a weird one because it's so bulky that it gives you a deception of how walls should work, just because it technically just doesn't take damage physically. Like it's like Chansey. It's like immune to physical damage. So kind of like a weird case study there. But for the other things on his team, like Glacier, Blastoise, Vikavolt, just very much bulky mons that he got accustomed to. I think. Go ahead.
No, I just think that he needs to get a wall with some kind of recovery.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I will tell this to every single coach: if you do not have a wall with some kind of recovery, and you don't have, a Chimpower or a Palafin, then your season is going to be harder.
For sure. Funny enough, I don't have a wall that has recovery. I mean, unless you're going to count Pain Split Wheezing. Or I guess Miltank, so never mind. We'll move on to the next team, Josh. I think, hands down, probably the best overall team. I think me and Josh probably had the most balanced teams out of the league. I think our two teams just, if you look at our teams in a vacuum and just don't look at any of the other teams, I think they are the two teams that, if you stay within the 10 mons on the team, they just, it's like a prison cell, bro. Like, it's just on lock. Like, there's very few weaknesses you can see in Josh's team. I guess the slight lack of speed is an issue, but he has Galvantula with web support, and then he has Tusk, Iron Moth, Altaria. Like, in a vacuum, I think me and Josh had the two strongest drafts hands down. To see him out of playoffs early is a shocker to me. Just team comp alone, I think he should have had a much better season than he did. I mean, his team is absolutely insane. That's not to shit on Josh at all. I just think, again, he's an experienced draft player, but best of having sets instead of one and done are a very big deal. And I think that was a learning curve he had. And I think Josh is definitely a chip contender for sure. Good season from the boy. Expecting a lot from him in future seasons. Chris, his team is a weird one because it's really slow, but it uses priority so well that it almost doesn't matter about his team being so slow. And also, like, his team, like, if you kill something on his team, like, it doesn't matter. He has Palmont with Revival Blessing. He has Mega Banette with Destiny Bond. So, like, even if you get a kill, it doesn't matter because he can either res it off or he's sacrificing himself to kill you because he has Banette. So if you try to play the sack game with Chris, it's just not gonna work. And even if you try to play the sack game, as long as Palafin is in the back, you are going to lose. So
right, and you can't set up in front of anything because he has a Mega Banette. So right, you cannot set up.
Yeah, so it's Chris's team. While me and Josh's are like the two best balanced, I think Chris's team is probably the most frustrating to deal with because he has probably the best mon in draft ever in Palafin. Just it's kind of hard to deal with just for any team. And when you pair that with Revival Blessing, when you pair that with a Goodra, Hisuian Goodra, you pair that with a fucking Meowscarada that went undrafted for some reason. I mean, even like the lower tier things like the Shinotic, just being able to put something like Chris's team, he's either killing you, rezzing something, or putting you to sleep. So like you just can't play that game with him. You just can't. Like
Right.
you have to outmind him. And Chris, in my mind, I think Chris and Mnaz, like Chris is kind of a weird one to say, but I think Chris and Mnaz are like the two most cerebral players in the league. I think they're really good with mind games at times. And when you have someone with Mega Bennett, who is all about mind games, it's really hard to break that team down. And the frustration factor is there. So for Chris, amazing season. I mean, in my opinion, this semifinal game against him is probably my hardest game left of the season. Granted, I'm saying that when the person I lost to in finals is most likely probably gonna be there. We're very realistically could have a rematch of season 2 finals again.
I do think Mnas does have a good team in the years.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we played, he had me beat. Just week 1, we were both trolling our brains out. He just happened to troll a little bit harder. But yeah, I mean, it's funny to say that when the person I lost to in finals last season is still in the race. But in my mind, I think Chris had a great season. But kind of like you were saying earlier, not to suck my own dick or anything, but to have a near perfect season is crazy. And when you look at my team, nothing really screams like, oh, that's why he's doing good. Like, you have some teams with Chin Pao, Palthin, Great Tusk, Neasler, Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, Garganackle, Iron Valiant, Arcanine. Like, a lot of teams had like those one or two things that just put the fear of God into you. And I feel like when you look at my team, yeah, you're scared of Blastoise and Garchomp. Maybe you're scared of Zeraora, but I think for the most part, you're not really worried about any one thing on my team. You're worried about how the team works in conjunction with each other, kind of like how Josh's team is. And I think that's the big key to how my season went, was just because Season 2, I was more of an offensive team. I had things like the Landers, the Raikou, the Infernape, the Dragapult, which are all, they have a little bit of bulk to them, but not a lot. But this season, I focused a lot more on like bulky offense. Zeraora, Garchomp, Tornadus, Roserade is pretty especially bulky. Blastoise pretty bulky. So I think the progression I made and the mons I drafted definitely were a big reasoning for my season. And yeah.
I would agree with that. I mean, it's hard to argue with a 13-1 record.
Yeah, and coach of the season. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's hard to not give it. I mean, last season you went what, 16-2. This season I went 13-1. I mean, I was what, 15-3 last season, so I was right behind you then. So I mean, it's hard to not vote for the person who has the best record went for coach of the season. But I feel like, especially this season, with a lot of the talent we added and a lot of the older coaches who weren't as good becoming, like B and Chris, two coaches last season you don't expect to make a good playoffs run. They're in the semifinals against the two people that were in finals last season. So, I mean,
Right.
the talent and skill in the league has went up tremendously, but I mean, not to kind of shade at you and Tanner a bit, but when you have kind of the big three kind of dissolving a bit and you and Tanner falling off a bit.
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
I would not say at all that I am dissolving. I put Mnas to a 3-2. He has Chimpao and Dragapult.
I'm just saying.
Team with a tier 5 wall.
I'm just saying. When I think the big three of me and Tanner. I mean no dish. I mean that in the most sincere.
Last season champ.
I'm just saying, no disrespect to you two at all. I mean, but you and Tanner like halfway. Like when we were at the midseason, you and Tanner were like 3-4. I mean, if we're talking big three, you can't be having any moment to slip up like that. Granted, you and Tanner made big comebacks. You guys had great finishes to your season. I'm giving you that credit. You guys definitely woke the fuck back up.
Making playoffs, bro. If I saw you mid-season, you're getting worked.
Listen, man. I'll put you in my division next season. We'll find out. But I mean, again, no disrespect to your Tanner, but when you think of 3 coaches that put the fear of God into you to say, you can't be having slip ups, and I think I had one slip up against Chris this season, and that was it. I mean, granted, I had a lot of other close games. My game against MNAS was very close. My game against Chase was really close. But I mean, again, I mean this in the most sincere way, not to be a dick to you or Tanner, but when you have the expectations are everything, and when expectations don't meet reality, it's hard to say there is a big 3 in Big Juice anymore. I'm sorry, it's just hard to say there is.
I mean, listen, man, if everybody wants to look at me like I'm not a scary coach, please.
I'm not saying you're not
do.
a scary. That's not what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. But I'm saying is, if people want to start thinking that I'm not as, competitive as I was in the first 2 seasons, and I'm going to have a really good season 4.
Sometimes that's what you need. Just the little subvert the expectations. But yeah.
Now, I can't speak for Tanner. Tanner's got things he needs to work on.
Yeah, I think for Tanner, definitely needs to work around the bulk a little bit more. And for you, you definitely had a really you need to focus on team synergy. I mean, you had your walls in Slowbro and Garg, which in my opinion was the only reason your head stayed afloat for as long as it did. But I think with you, it's like the reverse of Tanner. I think you are fine with the defensive playstyle, but I think with you need to find mons that work very well offensively together. And again, like with my team, just to kind of give a little bit of a reasoning why I drafted the things I did. Blastoise, Garchomp, or it was originally Zygarde, but got nice, so I went Garchomp. 4 times weak to ice. You have Blastoise are resistant. Blastoise. His 2 weaknesses: Grass and Electric. Zeraora. Volt Absorb, Miltank, Sap Sipper. I mean, it gets a little. Roserade also 4 times as Grass. So like, it's one of those things where obviously there's a lot of things you have to worry about. You have to worry about hazards, hazard removal, speed tiers, what moves Pokemon get, what abilities they get. That's all very important, but we have a lot of time, especially the coaches that the seasons are over. You have a couple more weeks of prep for the teams that are in semifinals or make the finals. I think the tiers already being out. The only mons you have to worry about left are the mons on the unbanned list. Just think about just what mons work together, what mons you want to use, and just, again, every season I think of 2 mons I want to build around. Season 1, it was Victini, Mega Gyarados. Season 2, it was Mega Audino, Dragapult. Season 3, it was Garchomp, Mega Blastoise. Just find those 1 or 2 mons you want to build around, and I promise it will happen. You just got to work hard, and the hardest part of every season is getting the right team, because while you do get a lot of trades, if you start off with the wrong team, it puts you really far down. I mean, if you had this team coming out of draft and then had the picks to then get rid of your fighting weakness, I think your season goes a lot differently.
I agree for sure. And this draft, I'm cooking up something that people are not gonna like, but I'm gonna love.
All right, and that is it for us. That is the Season 3 award show. I guess kind of just to recap all the winners real quick. We have Samsung Smart Fridge, Low Kicks, Low Tier, High Value, Earthworm Gyarados for the duo, Biff with the Tech, Biff with the Mega, Gyarados getting the best Terra, B best coach, Croc and Chase, Garganachi, Palafin, and then me. So yeah, that's going to be it from us. I guess any last words or anything you want to say for Season 3 or anything you want to say for Season 4?
Season 4, we will have matches uploaded. Every single match will be uploaded with each's team being, the thumbnail being the teams with a versus in the middle. We need to work on that. We'll get it out there.
Yeah, I think That's something we're looking forward to do this season. Just one of those things we just didn't do.
Fell through the cracks for sure.
Yeah. I think the content that, I mean, I didn't really start making videos until midway through the season because I started getting hyped for playoffs. But definitely the content game lacked this season. I definitely got to get on that. But in general, I just want to see more coaches uploading their POVs as well. Like watching Croc and Tanner's POVs from the games, it always excited me. And now I'm the only coach left in playoffs that even uploads their videos. So
Now, what I think would be a good idea is if we upload each individual matches and then we take the coaches from each of those matches and have them like post commentary their game and their thought process and what was going on.
that's kind of what Joey does after his league games. He kind of just gets the other person to call and they kind of just talk about their sets and stuff. I think that'd be
Right, I
good.
think
So
it
do you
would
want to
be- I think it
cast
would
the
be-
games and then have a post-com, or just the two coaches that were in it post-comment?
Yeah, just post com because I mean I don't. It feels like a lot of work to have everybody calm their games and then have them try to upload it to that video and then
Right.
I just think we need to have a centralized channel of what we have going on, and I think the BGCL is going to be that for us because Tanner's been getting a lot of traction with his views.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to figure out the content side of it to really get this league popping. And I think once we do that and we get some attention, we get some other people that want to join, we can kind of put some risk reward towards it. Like we can knock out the bottom two coaches, they lose their spot. We have to invite two new coaches. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think definitely want to prioritize the obviously gotta have stakes in the league for sure, but I think for me personally, is more of like a friends for fun thing. So I wouldn't want to get too crazy with it, but
No, absolutely.
to get views on the channel would be very nice, and to add in, maybe we expand out. I mean, we talked about expanding out to 20 coaches moving into season 4. Probably not gonna happen, but again, just expanding out, always a good thing. I mean, in Gen 7, when there were significantly less Pokemon, especially Pokemon that were good, there were leagues that had like 28 and 32 teams. I mean, it's possible. Very possible.
But I do think, if we get some kind of, obviously this won't happen in the near future, but if we get some kind of monetization, then we can compete for the Big Juice League's monetization.
Right. And I think, to my knowledge, there's only 2 leagues in history that have had championship belts. One of them was a WBE, which is a massive YouTuber league. The other one is the Big Juice. So, I mean, kind of have our leg up in the competition there. Yeah, you got to mail it out to them soon. It's April now, bozo. But anyway, that's it from me and JC for the Season 3 award show. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Congratulations to all the coaches, of course, for winning their awards. And I guess from me, just hope to finally win my chip. And looking forward to Season 4 as always.
See you guys later.
See ya.